Before you consciously choose anything, something inside you has already responded. Not a thought, not a decision, an instinct. You may believe you are simply watching a video, calmly observing a group of birds. But long before logic enters, your nervous system reacts, your attention tilts. Your body recognizes something familiar before your mind gives it language. Carl Jung believed these moments mattered most because they expose the unconscious without disguise. Across cultures, birds were never ordinary creatures. They symbolized instinct, survival, and inner awareness, beings that sensed danger before it appeared and moved without explanation. Psychologically, birds mirror how we learn to survive, what we became alert to, what we learned to hide, and which parts of ourselves adapted to feel safe. The bird that draws you in is not showing who you want to be. It reflects the strategy your psyche learned long ago. This is not about taste or preference. It is about recognition. Somewhere in your past, a version of you learned how to stay accepted, protected, or unseen. That strategy became automatic. It became instinct. And now, without words, it responds to a symbol that mirrors it back. Look again, not with curiosity, but with honesty. One bird feels quieter, heavier, more familiar than the others. That pull is not random. It is memory. Before you are 5 birds, each carrying a distinct psychological energy. One survives through constant alertness, one through adaptation, one through distance and self-reliance, one through visibility and expression, and one through balance, holding multiple instincts at once. You are not choosing a bird. You are recognizing the pattern that has been choosing for you. If your attention settled on the cautious, observant bird, then awareness once meant safety. You learned to read moods, notice subtle shifts, sense danger early. Others call you intuitive and grounded, but the cost is exhaustion. Your shadow is not fear, it is hyper-vigilance. Growth begins when you realize you no longer need to guard every moment. If you were drawn to the adaptable bird, survival meant adjustment. You learned to soften your needs, reshape yourself, preserve harmony. You understand everyone, yet rarely ask for much. Your shadow is not weakness, it is self-erasure. Integration begins when you allow yourself to take up space without apology. If the solitary bird felt familiar, independence protected you. Relying on yourself felt safer than depending on others. You value depth and autonomy, but beneath it lies isolation. Your shadow is not coldness, it is the belief that closeness leads to loss. Healing begins when you let connection exist without surrender. If you noticed the expressive, visible bird, then being seen once felt safer than disappearing. You speak, act, and move forward. But visibility also brought judgment. Your shadow is not confidence, it is shame learned from being told you were too much. Integration comes when presence replaces performance. And if the balanced, complex bird called to you, then you learn to hold contradiction, strength and sensitivity, logic and emotion. Others struggle to understand you because they prefer simplicity. Your shadow is not confusion, it is the fear that complexity equals instability. Jung called this movement toward the self, wholeness through integration, not reduction. This moment is not about answers, it is about awareness. Once you recognize the pattern guiding your reactions, relationships, and choices, you cannot unsee it. The bird did not reveal something new. It revealed what has always been quietly shaping you. And this is only the beginning. Recognition alone is not transformation. Insight becomes dangerous when it stops at awareness, because what is seen but not lived turns into self-judgment. The bird did not appear to label you. It appeared to show you where your energy has been held. If vigilance shaped your survival, then your nervous system learned that rest was unsafe. Even in calm, your body stays prepared. You call it intuition, but often it is unresolved alertness. Growth begins when your body learns what your mind already knows, that safety can exist without constant scanning. If adaptation protected you, belonging depended on flexibility, you became skilled at accommodating. Others feel comfortable because you learn to disappear just enough. But the shadow is resentment, unspoken needs, delayed anger. Integration begins with permission. Permission to want. Permission to remain. If distance became your shelter, independence once meant survival, you learned that self-reliance hurt less than disappointment. You value privacy, but intimacy feels invasive. The shadow is not detachment, it is grief. Healing begins when closeness no longer threatens autonomy. If expression kept you visible, silence once felt like erasure. You learned to assert, sometimes loudly. Visibility brought power and judgment. Over time, confidence absorbed shame. Integration is restraint without suppression. Presence without performance. If complexity feels natural, then one role was never enough. You move between worlds, strength and vulnerability, reason and emotion. Others misread you because they want consistency. The shadow is not instability, it is fragmentation. Integration means holding all parts without apology. Every bird represents adaptation, not flaw. These strategies once protected you. They kept you functional, accepted, alive. But what protected you then may restrict you now. The psyche evolves through tension. What once ensured survival eventually demands transformation. Ask yourself, not intellectually, but honestly, where your pattern costs you energy, where it repeats exhaustion, conflict or distance. The bird showed your strength. It also revealed where growth waits. You are not meant to erase instinct. You are meant to update it. This moment matters because once the unconscious becomes conscious, it no longer controls you from the shadows. It becomes choice, and choice is freedom. If something stayed with you after the words moved on, that is not coincidence. Growth begins quietly, as recognition asking to be lived. Take a moment to reflect, and if it feels right, share which bird resonated with you. You don't need to explain it. Sometimes naming a truth is enough. If this reflection helped you see yourself more clearly, consider liking it so it can reach others, standing at the same inner threshold. And if you value content that goes beneath the surface, content that honors depth and real psychological growth, subscribe to continue these journeys. You may also share this with someone carrying more than they express. Insight, when offered gently, becomes support. Remember, transformation does not come from changing who you are. It comes from understanding yourself deeply enough to choose differently, and that understanding begins here.